This story just leveled up. My trust rankings just flipped. The prophecies are getting wild, and I'm starting to think that nobody's safe. Let's talk about how my rating for the book so far is at a 4.3 after 500 pages in, and what's driving me absolutely insane. Alright, so going off of my framework in the last video, a few things. One, this is the first book I've read that's this big. I've never marked up and tabbed a book before, but I would highly recommend it. If you've never done it, I really just started off tabbing where the maps were, but as I kept going through, I was like, oh, that's cool, I should tab that. Oh, I kept tabbing that, and then I just got more and more like, I need to start tabbing more things, highlighting things. Just makes it really quick to reference things, and it was super helpful for making this type of video, and I think it would make rereading a book, re-getting back into a series of book, I think going through and just rereading the tab sections, having an understanding of the story as a whole, I think that would be a good way to like get re-caught up without having to reread the books. Highly recommend if you do not tab. If you're able to tab and mark up books, I would highly recommend it because I do find that it is useful. Going on to the ratings of this book after reading 500 pages, I am at a 4.3 out of 5. I wanted to go from 4.2 to 4.4, but that felt like too big of a jump. So I will say it got marginally better as a 4.3 because the story has gotten better, but I'm still struggling with the pace of the book. I think the pace is a little bit more on the slower side than I personally would have picked if I were to pick a new series to read. I do think, at least in this first book, the pace is a little bit slower, but I do think that it is kind of a cool challenge to read through something that is a little bit slower. There's just so much information that maybe it being a slower pace actually helps it because it allows you to process things. As things happen, you get a little bit of break in time to where you can kind of process what just happened because there's a lot of stuff that happened. In fact, when I look down at memorable moments, I have 10 versus last time I had 4 memorable moments. And I was going to see how they ranked against the memorable moments from last time, but there's just so many, I feel like that would make this video extremely long. So let's get into the trust rankings of characters. So we'll start at the lowest trusted characters that are supposedly helping the story and the main characters get to whatever they're supposed to go or do whatever they're supposed to do. Starting at the bottom, we just met Hyam Kinch. I don't know anything about him other than he just took the boys along the Camden, whatever the city is they're going to, the Camelin Road, I think it's Camelin. He picked up the boys in between Four Kings and the Camelin. He moved them along on that path a little bit forward. That's number 13. Number 12 is Moraine. I still don't know if she's good or bad. The action she's taken has said she's a good person, but there has been enough of people warning them about their dealings with the Aes Sedai that I'm still not sure of her actual ultimate intent, what even Tarvalor's intent is with the boys once they get there. That's never been really explained. Next we got Lan. I still trust Lan, but I think there's just more people that I trust higher than him currently in the story. So we have Tom, who I'm holding out hope is still alive. From all indications, the boys believe that he's dead. At least Matt and Rand believe he's dead. And the way that chapter ended, it would lead you to believe he's dead. But I'm holding out hope that he is dead, so I would put Tom above Lan because he has done a lot of good in those last 300 pages to increase his trustworthiness. He was actually at the bottom of the last one, but now he's at least above a couple people since then. Next, we have Elias, which I'm also holding out hope is alive. They didn't say he was dead, but they didn't say he wasn't dead, and I believe that guy said the guy that was with the other bad guy that captured Perrin and Gwen, he made it seem as if they killed somebody or they caught another guy, but it never really was said. It just kind of was like implied that they killed a guy. They haven't said if Elias was either alive or not, so I'm holding out hope that he's still alive, and he's at number 9. Number 8 is Matt. Matt is this low because of one specific incident where they were going to get the treasure, all because Matt wanted to get the treasure, and it was like the most obvious, like, you should not do this. This is poor judgment. I think Matt would have to do a lot of good things to get back higher as far as like trustworthiness goes. Next, we have the Wolf Pack. I think the Wolf Pack as a whole is more trustworthy than Elias because you don't really ever get into his intent. The Wolf Pack is, yes, they're wolves. I feel like they have like a code that they live by. It gives me a better judgment of what the Wolf Pack is, and I think they're going to be able to work with Perrin a lot more going forward in the story, whether or not Elias is in it or not. Because of that, I have the Wolf Pack at 7. Next, we got Egwene. I think it's just the middle of the road. She could, again, still be good, still could be bad. Middle of the road rating for her. Then we have Nynaeve. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Nynaeve, we have her at number 5, I believe. I just trust her a little bit more of thinking about the boys and getting them to where they need to be, or protecting them at all costs against either the Aes Sedai or the Dark Ones. So that's why she's ahead of Egwene. 4, we have Min, the prophecy girl from Baerlon, back at the beginning. I'll get more into her prophecies because it's something that I tabbed and I came back to multiple times, and there's still a lot to unpack there and a lot that we don't know from her prophecies. 3, we still got Bella the horse. She's one of the few horses. All the other boys lost their horse. Bella's been rock solid. So like I said, Bella, we trust you, Bella. I'm a Bella fanboy. Anything Bella, I would probably wear a Bella patch. I just believe in Bella. This horse didn't choose to be part of this group. It's just a good old-fashioned family horse, and she's doing her job. So shout out to Bella. Next, we got Rand. I do believe I've grown to trust Rand a lot more over these last 300 pages. So we do like Rand at number 2, and number 1 is Perrin. I think Perrin has had really good judgment throughout. He seems to stand for the right morals. All of us could gain from being more like Perrin in our everyday lives. Alright, looking back at the 200 video, I had what is not being explained right now, that section. Out of the 4 things that I talked about, why are the boys important? Who is Rand really? More about Tom's story, and what the sword even means. And then why did Egwene have her powers? You didn't really learn too much about any of those except for one. You hear that the Dark One wants them because the boys are what they call dreadlords, potentially. At least that's what Grode said when he first confronted them. I believe that was Grode that said that. That kind of gives us an answer at why the boys are important. Other than that, we haven't gotten any more answers. We just got more questions. So what is not being explained right now that I wish was, what's with Matt's dagger? He's got this cool dagger with red ruby on it that he stole from when they went to treasure hunt. We don't really know anything more than that, and I would like to know more about this dagger. Number 2 is Min's prophecy. So we'll break it down by people. So for Lan, it was 7 rune towers, and a baby in a cradle holding a sword, which I didn't, until I wrote this down on here, I never even made the connection that could have been Rand. And if Lan and Rand were somehow connected, that would be crazy. I don't remember Lan's actual physical description, which I probably, if I had been tabbing stuff, maybe they spent a lot of time on that, describing Lan initially, and that might be worth going back and checking on to see if they have similar features, and maybe Lan is Rand's father. Who knows? That's a theory that could be out there based on Min's prophecy. For Tom, you have had a man juggling fire. Throughout the series, you've seen Balsamon, but you've seen him have fire in his hands. So I guess linking those together. But they said it was a man, not Tom, juggling fire. I guess the other person that could be referring to could be Matt, because Matt is the juggler, and if he could somehow juggle fire, but it doesn't really tell you anything about that. And then the other thing that was for Tom was a White Tower. The fact that we haven't gone to the White Tower part yet gives me hope that Tom is still alive and has not died, because he still has potentially both his prophecies left to be fulfilled. We just trust Min. We trust Min's prophecies. For Perrin, he had wolves. Obviously, he met up with the wolves pack. A broken crown, which could have to do with Arthur Hawkwind's statue that was broken, because that was kind of a pivotal moment in his story development. And then he has trees flowering. We haven't heard anything about trees flowering, at least that I remember. Next we had Ran. So Ran had a ton of stuff in his prophecy. So a sword that's not a sword, so I'm assuming that has to do with his actual sword that he's been carrying around. A golden crown of leaves, haven't seen anything like that. A beggar staff, don't recall anything about a beggar staff. Pouring water on the sand, I mean they did ride on the boat, but I feel like that's kind of a stretch. A bloody hand and white hot iron, I don't recall anything that had to do with that prophecy. 3 women at a funeral, I think that one had a little bit more to it, but I don't remember a funeral happening. I would imagine that might have to do with Tam, his father. And then a black rock wet with blood. None of these prophecies have really had any real, like, this is what happened, this is what this prophecy means. And then the last one is lightning all around him. You did see in, I believe 2 chapters ago, that he killed Mr. Gord guy, the Dark One's rich guy that came to that inn that they were at, with lightning through the window. It said lightning all around him, so going into him and going out of him. So maybe he has an ability where he can control lightning, or he has this relationship with lightning that we're not 100% privy to. But those are all of Min's prophecies, and most of them have not been really touched on, but some of them do seem to be relevant as of right now. Number 3, what's with eyes? I feel like we have had a couple references to eyes that I'm not sure if they connect to anything, but I'm keeping track of them. So the first one was Perrin's dream, where a raven scratched his left eye, and then we had Matt, who went temporarily blind, and then we had the eye of King Arthur Hawkwind in the ground, and I feel like there was other eye references as well. And I know the book's called The Eye of the World, so I feel like I should have been tracking that earlier on in the story. I'm sure there's a lot of hints towards eyes, and I'm trying to piece all of the puzzles together. I feel like an investigator trying to read this book, which is really fun. It makes it exciting. All right, now for the best part, ranking the best moments from the last 300 pages. So number 10, I actually don't remember what all happened in this, but Rand's maze. This was the least memorable, but I had it on my list. He woke up in a maze. He was faced with Balsamon. They had a discussion in that maze, but I don't recall what they actually talked about. I don't even know if I tabbed it, but I should have. Next was the meeting of Elias. I thought that meeting was super pivotal to Perrin and Egwene's being able to survive, because they were struggling. And as he said, they were going to be way off mark if they were walking in a direction that they were walking. They would have not made it anywhere near where they needed to go. Number 8 is Matt's treasure hunt. Again, Matt just was a really dumb, stupid, idiotic moment, but it was memorable, so it does make the list. Number 7 was the wolf attack and capture of Perrin and Egwene. That whole fighting scene, that was very intense, and I don't even know who those people are that trapped him, because they say that they're people of the light, but all the wolves say they don't smell right, which hints me into them not being exactly who they say or portray themselves to be. Maybe it's like a corrupt wing of the soldiers of the light people. Next, we have Moraine's Patronus. So when they first leave Baerlon and they're making their way to Whitebridge, they come across this group of Trollocs and half-men. They're just being overwhelmed with the amount of Trollocs that are scratching at them, tearing them down, like they're all gonna die. Moraine pulls off this crazy spell that comes off as like white waves that shoot out kind of everywhere. At least that's how I pictured it. That's why I call it Moraine's Patronus, because it connected to Harry Potter's Patronus. That's how I envisioned it. I don't think it actually looks like that. Number 5 5 was Min given the prophecies, which actually was a small moment that I didn't even really spend that much time on. I was smart enough to be like, oh, I should probably tab this or highlight this or remember this. And I don't remember if I remembered it immediately or if I went back a couple chapters later and I was like, okay, I gotta find that so I know where it is. If any of these things comes true, I know where to go. It wasn't a wow moment, but it was like, this is important. This sent off signals in my brain, made the connections, and then I was able to go back and make sure. So it's slowly crept up this is a moment that I should have remembered, which means that it was memorable. Number 4 was the separation at the river. So as they're leaving that the town where they went treasure hunting and where the runes are, and they have those people of the shadows, or that person of the shadow, whatever that thing was called, that whole moment that caused them to all be separated, I called it the separation at the river, where now you have 3 groups of people. You have Moraine, Lan, and Nynaeve, Perrin, Egwene going off on their own, and then you have Matt, Rand, and Tom all going on the water. It just was a pretty crazy night, and that's why it's at number 4. Number 3, I don't know if it was important to the story, but it stuck in my head. The way that it was written was just because it didn't know what was going on. The Barillon nightmare, the imagery of the rats bending back and breaking their backs, and all these rats dying the next morning, being all over, all of them having broken backs. That whole scene was super memorable, and it kind of gave us a look into what this Baal-Zaman character, how evil he is. So I thought that was super memorable. The next memorable moment, and this might be because it was recency bias, Rand killing Gold with lightning, because I just was like, they're trapped. There's no way out of this thing. They can't get this iron bars open. The door is moving slowly. They're just screwed. And then, or you see this lightning come out of nowhere and strike them, and they all seem dead. That was just a pivotal moment. Oh shit, he might be able to control lightning. And then when you look back at the prophecy, you're like, oh shit, he might have something to do with lightning. And now he got sick following that too. So they're sitting around a fire at some point, and Moraine was talking about how after you touch into the one power, if you don't know what you're doing, you can get sick afterwards. The fact that he's now sick, I feel like that all has to do with he was the one controlling the lightning, even though he doesn't know he was the one controlling the lightning. And then the number 1 scene was Tom's sacrifice, telling the boys to run. Whatever happened to him, because they never really say what happened to him. They just say, we all saw what happened. That's the most memorable moments from the last 300 pages, and I'm excited to keep it going. Next time you see a video from me, or next time you see a video on the Wheel of Time from me, I will be finished with this book. We are at 500. We have till 700, and when's the last page? 779. So we have 279 pages to finish the book, which we should be able to do hopefully within a week. Hopefully. I really pushed to get to 500. I really pushed. I spent way too much time getting to 500. I don't know if I'm going to push that hard to get to the end of the book. Pushing to get to the end of the book's a little bit easier than pushing in the middle, because it was getting a little tough. I felt like I needed to get this video out, even though I know that's not true. I didn't need to get this video out in a week. It was it was just a goal, arbitrary, that I made. And until the next one, love you guys so much. Peace.